This week on Across the Arrowverse, there's a fox in the Arrow House. It's Vixen the Movie. Hi everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm your host Matthew Vose, and I'm joined by Catherine Kay.
Hi everyone.
This week we're going to be discussing Vixen the Movie, which was a animated web series, quasi spin-off from Arrow and Flash, featuring the superhero Vixen. There were 6 episodes in 2015, 6 episodes in 2016. They've been released as one movie that also includes some extra moments and scenes to bridge the gap between the two. What did you think of Vixen the Movie, Catherine?
I enjoyed it. I think it was fun. I think it was a game of two halves. I really enjoyed the first half. The middle was a bit meh, but I guess as it was added in later as filler, perhaps that's why it wasn't quite so compelling as some of the earlier stuff. And the second half was interesting, but not as satisfying as the first half. But overall, I like Vixen.
She guest starred on one episode of Arrow, and her grandmother has become a Maya, or is a Maya, on Legends of Tomorrow. The production information says that they wanted it to be Mari Vixen, but she was unavailable due to other projects. I think she was in the short-lived Damien, Omen TV series, which she clearly picked the wrong one, given Amaya's lasted in Legends quite well.
Well, yes, indeed. I've never even heard of Damien, the TV series. Yeah.
Part of the point of this web series, from what I understand, was if it went well, they'd either do a full cartoon series or even a live-action series. I don't think it's strong enough to support either of those.
I would be more encouraging of a full cartoon series, especially if they were writing it in the sort of ilk of the first half, about her finding her way and actually keeping it low-key and keeping it about her finding her way as a relatively low-key superhero in Detroit.
Yeah.
I think once we started getting the big bad and all of the different amulets and big scary guy in the second half, it felt a bit samey compared to other sort of superhero material, whereas the first half felt quite different.
Yeah. So very much that first half, well, let's take them separately, is her origin story. So discovering that she can do these interesting things with her totem amulet, and then her sister giving her backstory, and trying to take it away from her by killing her, and her then using the powers of the amulet to stop her. A proper superhero origin story, very much like we've seen in all of DC, in all of Marvel, but very nicely done. Slightly different because it's not suddenly she has these powers and there's the rise of a giant supervillain that she has to use them against. It's discovering them through family, through other people who know about them already.
Is my love of the first half linked to my love of an origin story?
Possibly.
Because Batman Begins, one of my favourite Batman films. Batman's. Yeah, I do like a good origin story.
So yeah, very, very possibly. The second half did more origin work on the powers because it introduced this idea of multiple totems.
Totamus.
And obviously had a bit of build-up for Legends in that her sister got the water totem and then was utterly destroyed, which leads us into Legends where it's her sister who's brought back as the water witch. And also had the air totem, which I think is what Zari uses in Legends. So it's doing a little bit of groundwork as well. I feel like that second half, you could do it as a series where she just fights crime and so on. It almost doesn't feel any particularly different.
Yeah, I think I don't see the need. I don't see the Vixen-shaped hole in the sort of suite of superhero vehicles that we've got already for something in the vein of that second half. And actually, it almost feels like they would then need to link it in with Legends of Tomorrow a lot more, seeing as they're picking up some of those threads quite nicely in Legends of Tomorrow.
And part of it is, of course, the fact that she's a person of colour. And it would be good not to have a white person leading a series. The Black Lightning series, I think, is out later this year, which might be the first time that's happened. I think possibly even both Marvel and... Oh no, Marvel's had Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Arrow's got a bit of diversity, Flash has got a bit of diversity, but the shows don't do it as well as perhaps they might.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps that was why they were trying to make this a thing?
Yeah, quite possibly, but I do think... I think they needed a bit more oomph in it and a bit more difference as a vehicle itself to make that a thing. And I certainly think that the live-action version, don't get me wrong, there was nothing wrong with the character Vixen in Arrow, but it was not compelling enough to make me want to watch more about that character.
Yeah.
Whereas I could be persuaded to watch a Vixen series in the cartoon version.
Yeah.
But they would have to make it a bit more different.
Yeah.
I think they'd have to play with the sister relationship a bit more. Although I do think between the two Vixen episodes and how she's appearing in Legends of Tomorrow, I think someone needs to make their minds up as to what the sister's personality is.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, given that there was a hint of goodness in her helping in that second part of the film, is that a hint of what's coming in Legends, that actually she will end up working against Damien Dark and be joining the Legends, maybe?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I liked that, and I like... But again, that is one of my favourite things. I like the neutrals. I like the people who are walking the line. They're not wholly good, not wholly bad. Gosh, what can't I remember his name? Captain Cold. Type Snart. Yeah. The sort of... self-interest, but could be persuaded to be on the side of good type characters.
Right. Getting into the weeds a bit, it was very much more adult than the CW shows. Very quickly, there was a reference to her getting a job if she gave the other guy a job. There were some swear words. There was almost more adult violence.
Yep.
With gunplay and people looking very hurt after they were attacked.
Possibly easier to do in a cartoon, or more acceptable to do in a cartoon, maybe?
I don't know, because as a cartoon I expected it to be pitched the same way as the Justice League cartoon or the Batman cartoons, that it was slightly more aimed at children or younger people, and this very much wasn't from the beginning.
No, I agree. Yeah, don't know. I don't know whether that's the right thing to do with it or not. I think that went away in the second one.
Yeah.
I missed it. I quite liked the way it was done in the first one, but equally, I guess, again, it's who's their target audience.
Yes. Who knows? I really liked her dad, the relationship with her dad. I thought he was well supportive. He supported her well.
Yeah.
And also a fun character without having to have his own... Obviously, if this went to a series, he would, but dark secrets and his own skill that he's bringing to it.
Yeah.
In all the other CW shows, every person has a point of being there. They are the computer person, they are the science person, they are the police person. Pretty much across every show, there is a character who fits each of those roles. He was just supportive family.
Yeah, nice. I liked him.
So that was good. And played by the chap who played the janitor on Scrubs, which I couldn't unhear once I noticed it. We did have the cameos from Cisco, from Barry, from Oliver, Butch Cisco.
Yeah, weird male model Cisco. What was that all about?
Yeah, he looked good. Barry looked chiseled jaw, 1990s Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah, much more. Stephen Amell they got right.
Yes.
Bit of stubble, and he is a bit square-jawed and hero-looking, so that works. The voice acting was good from all our main players. I was pleased they didn't draw Felicity, certainly in that first half, because they weren't having good success at drawing women.
Agreed. I mean, and that is my one criticism of the Vixen character. And it's not really a criticism. Well, no, I don't know. I don't know if it's just me being too sensitive, but I just felt that as a female-led vehicle, there was no need to make her all about the boobs so much.
Yeah.
You know, like, why are we pandering to the male gaze so much in this female-led superhero cartoon?
Yeah.
Tone it down.
It's utterly doing the wrong thing at that point.
Yes.
Yeah, like you say, going for the wrong audience. And if this is a more adult one, you definitely don't need it just to be she's got big boobs.
No.
No.
And I found it distracting, because every now and then I'd find myself completely taken out of the story, because I'd be going, oh my lord, because there'd be a shot that I just found over exaggerated and not in a good way.
Yeah. Looking through my details here, they name the prison for the metahumans the Pipeline Prison, and I like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I've heard it elsewhere on Flash, but that's a good name for it. I might try to start using that.
I also liked that Arrow essentially acknowledged when he was talking to Flash that it was not exactly the most humane methods of containment.
Yeah, which we definitely have noticed.
Yes.
There was a few good bits of humour referencing the other shows. Barry's bit about every time I meet a new meta, I get beat up a little. Yeah. So he's pleased that that didn't happen this time.
Yeah, nice.
But by and large, it wasn't as fun as most of these shows often are.
No, you're right. I mean, there were some amusing moments, but there were things that made me give a wry smile rather than laugh out loud. Like the professor who basically sold her out to her sister in the first one. Yeah. When he said, I have 3 PhDs, so ask me anything. And I was like, oh, you're an arrogant top spot. But that's the wry smile rather than laugh out loud humour. Yeah,
reminiscent of The West Wing, where they give their CV every so often.
Yeah.
I'm a doctor in economics. I know this stuff. Okay. So show me. Prove it.
Yeah, exactly.
In the first half, they had this whole thing of her mum running away with her and the totem from the village being attacked. And it made me think, well, if the totem's handed down through generations, why is her mother not wearing it? I wonder if people called it out at the time because they then responded in the second half by showing her mother was wearing it and did have a battle, but was defeated and then ran away with it.
They did seem to change their mind about that, what actually happened at that point in history during the film, which irritated me a little bit. Because also in the first half, they said about they seemed to imply at one point that the mum was deliberately leaving the sister because she felt that she had the darkness in her. And I'm like, but the sister was 4. What is she, Kylo Ren? You know? Just like...
Yeah. They did very much come back on that, certainly in that first half, that the sister is evil. When she returns after her sister's poisoned her and she says, you're the history of mental illness in my family. That's cold.
Yes, yeah, definitely. But I think that echoes that theme of that first cartoon was a lot more adult in its comments, in its strongness in certain topics, and then they backed away from that with the second one, because I felt they backed away from the sister is dark and evil in the second one as well, and I like that, and I preferred that.
And they had to be able to redeem her a little bit and make her work with them.
Yes.
So
yes.
And then it ends up with her battling the bad guys and saying, I'm Vixen, and trying to figure out how to say that. And I get it, because trying to find this movie online and Googling Vixen the Movie, I got a lot of different results. It's not necessarily the best name.
Yeah, you should show me sometime.
So we had an interstitial new bit in the middle, bridging the gulf, where she finds she can't control her powers in the way she wants to, and having to learn that they're animals, so just to let them off the leash if she needs that. I liked it particularly because they had the ape that they called Caesar.
Yes.
Other than that, not much to comment on. No.
I think overall, the other thing I will have to comment on is just how much I like the characterization of Vixen herself. Mm-hmm. I like her spunkiness. I like her sort of wisecracking persona. I like so when Arrow turns up and she said, I know, I failed my city. Yeah. And I'm just like, that made me laugh.
Yeah, really interesting. It played very well as someone who is... She's clearly fairly confident and knows she's capable, but she she's still learning and still figuring it out and still figuring out how to be the best she can be. In the Justice League Unlimited series, Vixen is played by Gina Torres, and you can see this character growing into Gina Torres.
Yes.
And that's what she will eventually become. It fills in very nicely in that progression. It ends with the point of her going into battle and saying, "Call me Vixen," which is the beat that they always go to of this person is now claiming their name and claiming their thing, and it works. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. We had the guest appearances in the second half of Firestorm, very briefly. Ray, the Atom, very briefly. And then Black Canary, so Laurel Lance.
Yeah, that was disconcerting. I'm like, oh, she's alive!
Yeah. As well as appearances from Felicity and the Arrow and various others.
Yeah.
All very nice, not particularly out of moment at all.
No, it was nice, and I think, especially as they seem to be tying some of the Vixen characters, albeit not Vixen herself, and almost absorbing them now into the Legends of Tomorrow series.
Yeah.
Maybe actually someone in the CW or in the production house has made a conscious decision that they're not going to follow up on the Vixen storyline as a Vixen storyline, and so they're going to take some of the plot lines that they'd planned for that and use them in Legends of Tomorrow. Yeah,
which, fine.
Yeah.
You know, they, like you say, there's some decent stuff in here. I'm not sure it lends itself to Bad Guy of the Week.
Yeah.
But it does lend itself to an overarching story about the totems.
Do you think they can reintroduce Vixen as a character in Legends of Tomorrow with her virtually being Amaya via version 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think at some point meeting her, because she was in the background early this season in Legends.
Okay.
There's the bit about the Detroit superhero.
Yes.
And Amaya sees her and goes off looking for her, and that prompts the Amaya story. Yes, I could see her coming back in, except I think Amaya's been fairly successful.
Amaya's turned around, hasn't she? Because we used to hate Amaya, but...
So we then went and watched, after watching Vixen the movie, we saw Taken, the episode of Arrow that had Vixen in it, and I think I preferred Amaya.
Yeah, I prefer this season's Amaya.
Yes.
Last season's Amaya, where it was all, I can't be in love with you because I've got to go to 1942.
Yeah.
That was just irritating. But this season's Amaya, especially, I really know I like this season's Amaya.
Yeah, leaning into this thing about the totems, so her and Zari becoming friends, her becoming a bit more capable.
Yes.
And Legends is the one that has all the special effects.
Yeah.
So it's appropriate to have the animal thing going on in there. A show where that is the primary special effect. Particularly because when she used it in Arrow, and she leaps over Damien Dark and then runs off with the speed of a cheetah, it was not good.
It was a bit daft.
To the extent Damien Dark then looks around and goes, well, that happened. You don't need to call attention to your own bad effects.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I think overall, it is a hard effect, a hard superpower to make look sensible in the special effects.
Yeah.
I think they were more successful with it in the cartoon, although they did do some weird animals in the cartoon.
They did.
Dolphins,
eels, an alligator that bit him at some point, which implies that she bit him.
Yeah, but hygiene.
I liked in the cartoon the way they often did it with shadow. Not with the blurry outline around her of the animal, but her shadow looks like the creature she is being. And that's a nice way to show us what's going on without it being a huge other colour that draws attention to it. And, hey, are other people able to see that or not? And
Exactly. Yeah, and I know that sometimes with Amaya we've been a little confused. We've been a little confused as to whether or not she is unleashing animals on the bad guys, or she is being imbued with the strength of all the it's just not necessarily as successful, I think, on live action.
Very much now it's clear she is channeling the spirit of it.
Yeah.
So that's good. And this has filled in a couple of thoughts and questions about things, so it's been nice to fill in those, but they're clearly not necessary to fill in.
Yeah.
Yep. Vixen, having read, I think, the actress's IMDb page, it looks like she's going to be in the Ray Freedom Fighters series. Do you remember we spoke after the Crisis on Earth X crossover? And the Ray, the Captain Cold's boyfriend.
Oh, the guy who used to be the werewolf in Being Human.
Yes, yeah, that he's getting his own animated series.
Right.
It looks like she's going to be in it.
Okay, nice.
So I don't know whether it's an Earth X version of her, whether it's going to be crossover city.
Do we know which version of Earth she's supposed to be based on?
Well, she's Earth 1.
Okay.
Because she's in the Arrowverse proper.
Right, yeah.
Not Earth 19 or something random. Hence why she can be visited by the Flash and Arrow.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting. That's hopefully later this year, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Something to look out for.
I'd quite like to watch that.
She was useful in her episode of Arrow that she turned up in.
Yes,
she took Damien Dark's... Thinking back on it, I couldn't remember what she'd done, other than give Oliver the advice to get rid of his son forever, which clearly didn't last. Yes. I wonder if the writers decided they'd get rid of the son, but then next season's writers went, no, that's a useful character, let's bring him back here. But she's the one who steals the totem and then smashes it with all of the animal powers. I feel like that's the sort of thing they could have done without her.
She's also revising her history quite a bit, because she spent a long time roaming away from Detroit, trying to find her mother. Yeah. Why did she leave me? And then she's like, just leave your son. That's the best gift you can give him. Yeah. I'm like, so you've forgotten that teenage angst?
Oh, no. The point there was that she went after her mother when she was ready. But if she'd done it sooner, she wouldn't have been ready and able to deal with what she found out. I think is the story there.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that.
And that was why he then did the video for William when he turned 18.
Yeah.
William?
Yes?
Son of Oliver? Yeah. Which clearly, again, didn't stick. Because he's now back in the show permanently.
Yeah.
So I think that covers us on Vixen. Any other thoughts? Any other points that I've missed off?
No, I don't think so. I think, no.
Yeah, I'm pleased to have watched it as a movie, I think, rather than 12 individual episodes.
I was struggling to think where they'd have split them up.
Yeah. There were a couple of moments I could see it. Like the first time we see the fight with Barry and Oliver, and then she's falling. I wonder if that was the split. And then when that finally gets resolved and she then flies away, that felt like a split. But yeah, as it went through, although the first half was as presented online.
Right.
Then there was the new middle bit, and then the second half had a few extra scenes.
Okay.
So I actually looked up the script at one point, because there was a line that I thought I'd missed, so I wanted to go and look it up. That line is completely missing from the script I could find. Oh. So it is a 2-second moment that was added, that was just Laurel making a reference to Oliver would be here, but he's doing something.
Okay. So. Fair enough.
Yeah. So they added more, I think, to make it flow better to the second half.
Yeah.
Which is why that just seemed to be one long, continuous episode.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm missing out not having a whole Vixen series, but I also feel like it would have been good to have had her on Legends rather than introduce Amaya and do all that work. I wonder if Amaya would have been in season 2, because they had the whole thing about the 1940s. That feels like a lot to add just for one superhero. Would it have been Amari Vixen then came into season 3 instead of Amaya?
Maybe.
Yeah,
we needed someone to be the link to the whatever they were called in the 40s that were fighting the bad guys.
The Justice Society.
The Justice Society.
Yes. But then season 3, we need a link to the totems, to Zari, to the sister.
Yeah.
Would that have been better if it was Mari? And then maybe you could have Amaya in an episode? But
don't know. I'm interested to see where all this goes in the next half of this season of Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, has it made you a bit more invested in Legends now?
Yes, it has. I'm in particular the personality changing sister. I want to see where her story goes.
Yeah. Yeah, very clear. I don't think it was the actress who whatever the model for the actress in the cartoon who plays her on screen.
No.
Whereas Mari is Mari both live action and voice.
Yeah, I think they've cast this season of Legend, the live action actress, I think they've cast her long after those cartoons were done.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I think they'd have drawn the cartoon to look more like her.
Yeah.
Because she really doesn't.
So. No. So. Although Mari did have a changing hairstyle between the live action and the cartoon.
True.
Yeah. But even in live action, she did like, have quite a bearing cleavage top for half of it. So that is clearly a character trait.
Has Vixen always had big boobs?
Well, I'm not sure I should comment on the size. I don't think they were like that in live action, but certainly she was wearing something very low cut.
Yeah. So, meh.
At least her superhero suit is not giant boob window, and that's the main character trait.
Yeah.
So that wraps us up for another week. We have a couple more weeks of the winter hiatus, so we'll be watching other animated shows, I think. If you have any thoughts, questions, or comments, you can use the hashtag ATAV on Twitter, and even let us know if there's anything you particularly want us to watch. You can find us across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, if you search for the production company Eloquent Gushing. If you want to help support us, please check out our Patreon page. You can get access to exclusive content for all our shows. Go to patreon.com/eloquentgushing and visit the homepage eloquentgushing.com to sign up for weekly newsletter about the goings-on across all our shows. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you across the Arrowverse.
Across the Arrowverse is an Eloquent Gushing production. For more shows you'll love, please visit eloquentgushing.com.